everyone to our panel discussion on measuring ROI in L&D, from learning analytics to business implementation. My name is Mansi Gupta and I'm delighted to host this engaging session. In today's dynamic business environment, the true value of learning stretches far beyond traditional upskilling. It's about delivering measuring impact that derives organization success. Yet, translating learning initiative into tangible business results remain a challenge for many organizations. The real question is, how do we connect L&D strategies with the metrics that matters? Today we bring together distinguished L&D experts and business leaders to uncover how we can shift from simply tracking participation to honest insight that truly reflect business values. Our conversation will delve into forecasting a measurement mindset across L&D teams, utilization analytics to mark informed data-driven decision, converting complex learning metrics into clean business language, balancing both qualitative and quantitative approaches to ROI. Now, let me introduce our esteemed panel members and moderator who will share their respective and expertise. Let me welcome our first panel member, Jiju, Head L&D, RO. Jiju brings nearly 2 decades of experience spanning operations, commercials, and learning and development. Currently, Jiju leads L&D at RO Groups, where he focused on building a strong learning culture that derives growth and performance. He has also worked to notable organizations like Delhi International Airport Limited, Hyderabad International Airport Limited, and GMR Aviation Academy. Give him valuable exposure to long-scale operations and enterprise learning strategies.
Thank you. Thank you, Mansi.
You're welcome, sir. Our next panel member, Arpan Kumar Paul, is from Lens Technology Center, Learning Design Consultant. I'm pleasure to introduce our next panel member, Arpan Paul. Arpan is a learning design consultant at Lens Technology Center with experience shaped by working in some of the world's most result-driven organizations. He has held key learning roles at Amazon.com, Copart, and MarketStar, where he developed practical, scalable, and data-driven learning programs. So, Urban, Urban has passionate about designing solutions that go beyond traditional training. He focused on solving business challenges, boosting efficiency, and delivering real ROI through learning. Please join me to welcome Urban.
Thank you, Mansi. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome, Urban. So, our next panel member, Akansha Chaudhary, manager of Manager L&D at SW Steel Limited, Dolly Works. I'm excited to introduce Akansha Chaudhary, who leads learning and organization development at JSW Dolly, with 13 years of experience across manufacturing and corporate sector. Akansha specialized in building leadership, driving talent strategies, and leading large-scale learning activities. She knows for her practical and innovative approach to create systems for capability building, coaching, and digital learning. Akansha works constantly, strategically, teams, enhancing leadership, pipeline, and delivering lasting impact. Please join me to welcome Akansha.
Thank you, Mansi, for that warm welcome.
You're welcome, Akansha. Let's welcome our next panelist, Raghunandan Casey. Manager L&D and Development at Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages Private Limited. Raghunandan Casey is an accomplished learning and development leader with over 16 years of experience, expertise, and designing innovative learning strategies, capability, capability frameworks, and leadership journey. His career spans globally organizations including HP, Thomson, Bristlecon, and currently Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, where he derives large-scale initiatives across diverse workspace segments. At HCCB, he champions a continual learning culture, spirit, leadership development, and panels the learning index approach to demonstrate real business impact. Recognized as a Immersing Microlearning Leader 2022 by Transformation Business Meeting. Raghunandan plans strategies, innovation, and disciplines execution to build future-ready learning ecosystem that empower people and organization to thrive. So
Thank you. Thank you, Mansi. Thank you, everyone.
we know that with the moderator we cannot drive this session. Lastly, we invite our moderator, Dr. Kavita, Global Life and Business Purpose Coach, ICF, PCC, NLP, and EI practitioner, and global meditational speaker with over 19 years of experience in L&D. Circularly design and emotional wellness. She is 10X awardee and keynote speaker at leading HR forums and the proud winner of Ratan Tata Leadership Award. She decorates in NLP and emotional intelligence from the University of California strategies from transformative works in coaching and designing learning culture. Recognized global for her purpose driven leadership, Dr. Kavita brings wisdom, warmth, and vision to everyone conversation. We honor to have your guide today's dialogues. You know. So I transfer my call to Dr. Kavita. So, Kavita, you take this call ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mansi, so much for your lovely my lovely introduction that you have given. But a little modification I would like to do. It's not 19 now; it's 20. So proud to say, I've
Oh, okay.
completed 2 decades of my experience into.
Wow.
Yes, and it's nice to have such a distinguished panel from various streams of economy and from such great companies. And I'm very happy I have my JSW colleague also here. Being an ex JSW, it also gives a little more edge to have her here. With this, we start today's discussion. We have this discussion into 4 segments. And what are the 4 segments? I'm not going to say right now. So let's go one by one and enjoy the discussions. I'm sure all those participants who have joined right now, you're going to have lots of wisdom, knowledge, and lots of insights of L&D from a distinguished panel. So starting with the first segment, that is understanding ROI in modern L&D. And I'm sure everybody who is here, maybe an HR, a CHRO, a learning development expert, and all my panelists, ROI is something that always cracks our brain. It is a virus that goes and we don't know what to do. And I'm sure this panel will tell what needs to be done in this ROI. So my first question is to Jijo. Sir, I would like to know from you, Jijo, how do you define ROI for learning and development in today's evolving business environment? Because I'm sure it is going to be very, very difficult for various industries, various sectors. And you have worked with a lot of infra, ports, mines, you work for airport, various groups. So would like to have your insight. How would you define ROI for learning and development?
Right. Thank you,
All
Dr.
over to you,
Kavita,
Teacher.
for this. Thank you, Dr. Kavita. I am sure. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Let me have a mic check done
Yes,
first.
yes.
Thank you. So before I
Yes,
share
yes. You're
my
loud and
thoughts
clear.
and thank you very much for thumbs up. So before I share my thoughts and views, let me put this very categorically. I would have loved to switch my position with you with the n number of experience and the awards you've got. Probably I would have liked to quiz you, but all said and done, I'll try to share whatever has been my learning and a few things before I start. One, I can see close to 30 odd people in this forum. So one thing I would like to request with all the people who are participating in this session is please, if you can write down the notes, whatever we are sharing, and probably connect with us on a social media, or probably I can share my email ID. I would love to know from you your perspective also. I could be subjective, I could be sharing something which has been learned by me, but I'm open to learn from all you people who are out there from various forums and industry. One. So feel free, note down your notes, and then I am very sure all of us who are there for this panel discussion would love to know from you. Second, my thanks to Shiju, Mansi, Eduram for putting this up. This is a Thanksgiving week, so I ensure that this has been their gratitude towards all the people who have been able to make this successful. Now, coming back to your question, Dr. Kavita, ROI, L&D, this is very, very important, at the same time, very subjective also. So let me just bring the story to you, and probably I'll be able to give you some insights how we can actually look into ROI. So while Indira Nui was probably moving out of her role from the CEO of PepsiCo, she would have thought about it very, very rigorously. Yeah, boss, I need someone who can take my shoes and move to the next level and take Pepsi to the next level, right? So what would have she done? So what her perspective, what was her thought process? So ROI can be properly looked into from three aspects, and I will try to link it with the story, and probably people can relate to it better. So a business perspective, the HR perspective, and an individual perspective. From the business perspective, when a person like a CEO wants to bring a leadership, he or she may not be looking at one person. They would be looking at n number of people who can fit into that shoe. So they are grooming 10 odd people to take his or her position, right? So what are they getting? They are getting 10 people who can take the business to the next level. But all 10 will not become a CEO, right? So from business perspective, you're getting leaders. Then we move into the HR perspective. The HR perspective, let's say if you have created 10 odd leaders, one becomes a CEO, you still have 9 odd people who can take the business to the next level. So what are you doing? You're investing in the right space. You are elevating people to take decisions. The efficiency of the whole organization goes up. Now, from the individual perspective, what does the individual happen to learn? He or she would be enhancing the skill set. The decision making capacity is increased. The leadership, the leadership persona is also elevated. So from an individual perspective, the person knows, if not this, I can probably lead a number of business. That is exactly what happened in 2023 when she created around 12 to 15 Cs who are leading various organizations in US. So just to summarize my thought on ROI, ROI is subjective, but look at this level, business point of view. If your ROI, and I'm not going to elaborate on the calculations, etc., etc. That is for people to probably judge. If you are from the sales perspective, if you're investing X amount of rupees by 3 years, you would be getting Y. Let's not put it that way. Let's try to understand from these three perspectives: business, HR, and individual. Business, what is business gaining out of that? First and foremost, if I am probably bringing in a training or a intervention, what will the organization achieve? I will get better individuals. I'll get better performers. I'll get individuals who will be more efficient. HR perspective, your entire pool will be having a number of talent which can actually take the organization to the next level. Individuals, your mistakes reduce, your efficiency improves, your turnaround time increases. So individual also is moving up. So just to bullet my points, talent retention, probably employee engagement, these are things which actually looks into when it comes to ROI, future readiness, and we are mitigating risk also. So ROI is a big thing, but try to segregate them into what is the entire objective of the organization or the business, and probably then you'll get right answers. I'm not going to get into calculations. I'm not going to get into the bigger metrics of the, because as we are moving from the existing system, we are getting into AI. Over there, you will be requiring more skills to probably prove yourself as a better leader. So just to sum it up, let's try to bring in our thought process, change our thought process from these three pillars, and try to understand how is the organization moving. I hope I make sense on that note. The
You,
network.
Jijo, I really echo what you said because you gave a very great perspective to think about ROI. It's all about viewpoints, right? The perception. So what do organization thinks, what do individual things, and what do HR business partners thinks, right? So you need to see the perspective of each other. That's how you add value to the work,
Absolutely,
right? So that's
absolutely.
truly how, yeah.
In fact, if there is someone from HR, and I'm open to discussion on this, if you can retain people just on basis of learning, just a basis of learning, you retain people, I think you've done it.
Biggest misconceptions organizations still have about measuring learning ROI.
Sir, and would be happy to take it ahead from a very warm context, which has been said by Jiju sir, that it is
Thank
on a
you.
very personal note, what organizations looking out from the learning interventions. So when we talk about the misconceptions, I think the biggest misconceptions which organizations still have in measuring ROI is the belief that it is a single financial number. Though Jiju sir has already stressed upon that, I would like to take it ahead. It is not a single financial number which we are expected to produce at the end of the learning program. This assumption actually oversimplifies the nature of the learning. So learning ROI, I feel, is not a neat equation. It is a chain of evidences that bring or that begins with capability building and evolves into behavior change. We spoke about it, performance shifts, and finally leading to some numbers which we call a business impact. So that is one thing which I would like to state. And I was going through some studies by McKinsey, which clearly stated that as of now, only 25% organizations are confidently linking their learnings to business outcomes. And largely because they expect immediate financial proof instead of viewing ROI as a progressive journey. So there are only 25 limited organizations. And in reality, if we talk about learning impact follows a time lag curve. It will take its own sweet time to convert. So skill takes time to embed, behaviors take time to stabilize, and business metrics take time to reflect in those behaviors. So we have to have a lot of patience while we go about measuring ROI. So I will be, touching upon a few misconceptions which we primarily go through. First is the training attendance is equal to impact, and which is still very true in a lot of cases. We all have gone through that. Many companies confuse that completion rates, feedback scores, and attendance is equal to impact, but that is actually not true. However, attendance only tells us that how many people showed up. However, impact tells us that what changed because they showed up. So we have to go to that extra mile. One of the examples I can think of is we were, co-creating a program here in our location on problem solving and decision making for the cohort of engineers and first-time managers. And the program was rated highly on the reaction level feedback, the level 1 feedback. It was 4.7 on 5. But the real impact emerged only when we tried to track that what are the repeat deviations on the shop floor which we are trying to reduce. And there was a visible, changes we have observed in the teams who attended the workshop because they were able to apply those practical tools, the RCA, into the structured process of their decision making. If we would have stopped on the satisfaction scores, we would have actually, I feel, we would have missed the operational impact it is making at the ground level. The second misconception I can think of is ROI is only the LNOD team's responsibility. While we are the designers, the architects, obviously it is only our responsibility. I feel that true ROI is co-owned by the line managers, the business heads, HR VPs, and the L&D. So a learning intervention is strong only basis the environment that supports its application. So that is one misconception which we have. And over my experience of 13 years, I have strongly seen, and with reference to the studies, we have seen that 70% of the learning impact depends upon how managers are creating those opportunities for the nominated team members to apply those learnings on the job. What opportunities are being created to practice those learnings? So when organizations expect L&D alone to prove ROI, they overlook the ecosystem that drives that impact.
Yeah.
Thirdly, I will come on the talking about the misconceptions. We are on the third misconception, which I feel is ROI must be measured at the end of the program. So I think, again, this is a misconception, and I feel it should be built strongly before, during, and after the learning has happened at all the levels. If we wait till the end to measure, we lose all the opportunities to adjust those, behavior steers in between. So it has to be consistent and continuous. So in one of our internal capability building model programs, which we developed, we have seen that the power of baseline versus post-program behavior assessments, mid-cycle pulse checks, which we do, and the manager feedback loops, these all checkpoints are, helping us to see those early behavioral shifts, which is happening on the basis of learning which the employee has done. So it helped in improving delegation. It helped in better communication. It helped in faster problem solving. And this all has been measured months before it reflected in the business KPIs. So it was all built in the intervention. So organizations that skip interim measurements, I think they miss the entire story. So they have to build it in the intervention. Last but not the least, ROI means converting learning into rupees or dollars. So which we spoke about, financial ROI is important, but it is not the only form of measurable value. So model L&D, I feel when we talk about measuring ROI, it is all about how we are increasing the operational efficiency, how we are impacting the productivity gains. What are the, so my primary experience has been into manufacturing, so I'll say that how the safety compliance has been done. What are the incident reductions we are seeing at the plant level? What is the capability readiness, which Jijo sir spoke about, that the number of people who are ready to take the organization ahead. So what is the capability readiness which we have? How are teams' engagement scores? And what are the innovation outcomes which are coming? And last but not the least, how strengthened is our leadership pipeline? So these are the business-driven outcomes, even if they are not directly monetary. So there are companies like, I'll say, JSW, Tata Steel, there are other global players like GE and Bosch, which routinely uses these impact-driven behavior indicators and not just the financial numbers. So that is from my end on clarifying a few of the misconceptions I feel there are with respect to ROI. Over to you, Dr. Kavita.
That's wonderful insight, Akanksha, that you said about that, that ROI needs to be decided. It has to be in all the three stages, like the pre, the during, and the post, right? And, but most of the companies don't do that. It's my experience that it says, we are only asked about the ROI at the end. And I think with this little insight, everybody will have a new dimensions of thinking about it. And I would like to go to Raghu sir. In what ways, Mr. Raghu, you feel that there's a shift of learning because of the digital? What I meant to say is that in what ways has a shift to digital learning changed the ROI? Because everything today is so automated, everything digitalized. There's a lot of companies investing also. But do you really feel it really helps and L&D specialists to have that ROI calculations?
Absolutely, absolutely, Kavita. Thank you so much for question, and thank you so much for having me as part of this panel discussion today. And before I answer that question, yes, I want to call out that today the topic that we are discussing is a mission critical for all the L&D professionals over here, which is an ROI, right? Return on investment. Taking the points where Jiju you shared about the importance of ROI, how the perspectives, right? And also taking the clue from the Akanksha, what you told about the misconception, right? Because it is all people feel L&D is the one who has to measure this, and it has to be measured pre, during, post, and it's an effort. It's all mindset. Okay. Let me give you a very clear clarity that it is just a shift in the mindset helps us to measure the ROI. That's the first one. The second one is all about collaborating and creating a learning ecosystem, because it's not always only L&D is responsible. It is the ecosystem that you create as a culture where your managers, your business leaders, and the HR business partner together to create integrated learning journeys, right? That creates a business outcome which is impactful and value adds. So that's something that I wanted to add to that. Now coming to the question, Kavita, on the digital learning. So see, I have been into this space of leading digital learning, and let me give you a little bit of analogy for everyone to understand. In a car, right, you have a rear mirror and you see the metrics which are in the back, which is your rear view metrics. These all are the learning hours, coverage, what is the feedback score. These all are retrospective, and it takes effort to measure, but this is useful for L&D team to create an impact for the upcoming batches. But if you look at from the business angle, it is totally disconnected. What business is looking is the car dashboard. If you sit in your car dashboard, you have a real-time indicators, right? Forward-looking indicators that helps you that where are you heading. So similar, digital learning has enabled the entire L&D professionals to get the real-time metrics. When I say the digital learning, for example, it could be an adaptive learning, it could be a simulation-based learning, and also a gamified immersive learning. So these are the various digital learning platforms that we have and the digital learnings that we have. It includes the virtual reality as well, right? So like Akanksha was saying that we can measure the real-time business impact, whether the participants are able to perform, whether they are able to take a quality of decision, and these all are measured once the training is done. It is a classroom or a virtual, whatever mode. But in digital learning, with an immersive learning, this data is captured on real time. How the learners are taking decision, how the quality of decision making is done when they are going through the real time course, because these are immersive and real time conversation that the individual is having with the digital learning, right? So now to add on, in SCCB, in Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, we have driven a gamified module course, simulation based courses, even the adaptive learning. And this has really helped us in providing a real time business indicators which are forward looking. And these data points are really helpful for the business. When I say business, for example, the talent team can see what is the percentage of future talent readiness for a role. It will also, there is a gamified module that we created which also help the hiring managers and even the talent acquisition team to understand whether the candidate fit for the culture or not, because the real time digital learning is assessing every data points, how much time you are spending, how qualitative decision that you are taking, and whether you are using critical thinking to solve the problem on the real time. These all real time data are helping to take decision. When L&D leverage this kind of metrics which is real time, then L&D becomes a strategic accelerator to the business, and that is where we add value to the business. So that's where I'm saying digital learning is a real time forward looking business indicators that helps business to take decisions and also to create an impact to the business.
Wow, that's a wonderful insight, Raghu, that you gave, stating that L&D is a strategic decision maker. Because 99% the corporates today feel that L&D is just a support system, and this awareness has to come up. That the moment you
Exactly.
empower with the digitalized learning, it is not the the X amount of crores that you're investing. It's a huge financial investment, but it's an investment in your human development. That's a
True.
beautiful point where you said it's a real time it's a real time effect that you can see a true reflection if it is really used in a right manner, in the right fashion. And as you rightly said, L&D is never only the L&D managers or the L&D heads responsibility. At the end of the day, if you want to really develop that kind of a culture, it has to be hand in hand with the operations, with the accounts, with everybody.
True.
Otherwise, everything alone can't do. I mean, a heart only can't pump the blood, but the other organs also has to support. So it's that way.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful insight, Raghav, that you gave. And I'm sure the
Thank
people
you.
who are listening are really going to, enjoy what you said at this moment of time. Now coming
Thank
to
you.
Arpan, Arpan, you come as an L&D consultant with Lloyd's Technology, Amazon, Copart, and so many things. But as an L&D consultant, are you full time with them, or you're just, a regular consultant? I would like to know that
Uh,
also, because a full time employee has a different perspective, and a full time consultant works with a very different ideology, and the businesses see them in a different way. So, wanted to know what foundation metrics should every organization track before thinking about ROI? Yes,
Perfect.
Arpan, all over to you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kavita, and thank you, everybody, for having me here today. Yep, ROI, it sounds like a mystical creature to me because most of the organization try to run before they walk. And as it was mentioned that we are considered L&D function is considered as a support function. We don't generate revenue, so we are not involved in most of the business decisions or I think in most of the organizations where I have worked, I've seen that L&D is just the function that they're just there for support, they're just for training. But I think first of all, I would like to answer. I'm a full-time employee. I'm not a part-time or a contractual. Full-time
Wonderful.
consultant here. Yeah, and yeah, before even talking about dollars or rupees or we have to look at the foundation. I feel if I was if I were walking into a company today, I wouldn't start with ROI, return on investment. Maybe I would look at time to proficiency. Simply put, let me just explain that how fast can we get a new hire into from day one to fully productive? Imagine somebody just joining our company and that's their day one, and how quickly through these training programs, learning programs, how quickly can we have them on the system in productivity, right? And imagine if our training programs can shrink that from 6 months to 3 months. I think that's where another metric. I think that's an achievement. We if you can look at it from 6 months to 3 months, I think we reduce the time, and that's massive, and that's a calculable value as well. We can quantify it. Since imagine there were some classroom trainings which used to take 6 months earlier, and with digitization, as Mr. Raghu mentioned, that with digital learning programs or platforms, we can reduce that time period to 3 months, or it's just an example based on the company's requirements. But all the CFOs or the CEOs, they look at, they actually care about how many people finished the e-learning courses. Like they look at the number, how many people have attended it. I think from the foundational metrics, apart from ROI, every organization should look at these three. I think the skills and performance. Where we are starting from in terms of skill gaps, productivity, quality, error rates in the key roles and the teams. For example, basically, I'm focusing on the change. Uh, Before the training, what was the quality or the productivity or the performance metric, and after the training, if there is any change. I think that's where we should look at. Activity and engagement metrics is one of them as well. Time spent on learning or assessment scores, like we have process knowledge tests. What's the score there? And when I used to design, from my experience, I used to look at the repeat enrollments. For example, we design a course on a Tableau or Power BI learning program, and how many repeat enrollments are we getting? How are we seeing? I think that's another metric or another achievement in terms of L&D perspective. And as I say, not just who signed up, but who came back. We got to look at that as well. Talent and people metrics as well. That's the third, I would say. Internal mobility or time to productivity for new hires, as I mentioned, and retention in critical roles. I think employees in critical roles, they tend to leave organization when they don't see any learning aspects or they don't see any growth in terms of knowledge. So I think that's if our learning programs is retaining people, I think that's another foundation metric I would look at. And most importantly, NPS scores, net promoters. I think any learning program, be it an e-learning module or a classroom training or a virtual training program, I think NPS is something which gives you a clarity like how your learning program is doing, how's the driving, how many people are promoting it, or how many people are not, they're not promoting, or they're not talking about it, they're talking negative about it, or they're most likely to spread negative feedback about it. I think that's one of the key I would say foundation metrics, and we should look at it whenever we design any learning program or modules. um, I'll give you an example. Yelp is one of the companies which promotes from within, like instead of apart from ROI metric, they also look at test scores from any learning programs which are designed within their organization. They also look at they have a mandatory process knowledge test, and they look at the test scores also, like how the employees are doing post those training programs or learning programs. As I would like to conclude, these were my points with a statement of Peter Drucker when he said, if you can't measure it, then you cannot manage it. So I think apart from ROI, we do have other foundational metrics where we can focus from L&D perspective.
That is so much in depth and so much of knowledge to know from you, Arpan. You spoke about beautiful metrics like people engagement, talent to people metrics, internal mobility, developing the capacity within. That's really something that we should really look forward. And today businesses are concentrating, and that's a good note for us. And taking this thing ahead, let us go to our segment second, which speaks about leveraging learning analytics for decision making. Because now we have understood that yes, ROI is just not an L&D's work; it is in hand with all different stakeholders and with different metrics and digitalization. There's a lot of things to happen, but still, there's a question I would like to ask to Mr. Raghu
Yeah.
as such,
Yeah.
that which analytics or data points have proven most useful in demonstrating this training effectiveness? Because when we speak about so much of digitalization, so much of courses and
Yeah.
interventions happening, how can business actually know that which data points are really showing that training effectiveness? What is that one data point or one analytic that you really feel has contributed till now?
Yeah. So let me answer this, Kavita. Thank you so much for that question. I think let me give you an analogy. I love data, first of all. Let me give you an analogy. Okay. So measuring analytics, right? So which data is important? So let me tell, the learning analytics is like measuring your fitness tracker. Okay. We take steps, measure heart rate, calories burned, sleep. But this is important when you know what is your goal, right? So if you are trying to reduce weight, are you trying to increase stamina? It all depends what metrics that you have to measure. In a nutshell, every data, right, we are measuring is important because the context decides the relevance. It is not about one data or multiple data. It is all about what data and what is your goal that you want to measure. Then that data becomes important, right? So for example, for an L&D professionals, for us, it is very important skill that we measure the data, just not a learning analytics. We need to ensure this data is turned into an insights, and the insights has to be turned into action and decisions. That's where the value of data is, right? Now, if I make you understand, because Urban talked about all the net promoter scores, effectiveness, the feedback scores, all those. If you look at, there is a Kirkpatrick model where I think all of you, your majority of you are L&D professionals or a business leaders, you know how it is all works. We have been using this is a gold standard which we use to measure the learning effectiveness. It has level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. The level 1 is all about your reaction, right? Your feedback score, NPS score, how much duration was okay, whether the trainer was engaging. So there are a lot of questions that we ask in the survey, and the data we get, this is foundation, but this is not a finish line. But this data really helps an L&D professional to take decisions whether the content was right to the target people, was it engaging, is there anything that we need to do course correction to make sure that the upcoming batches are effective, right? Similarly, the L2, which we measure the data points, is about the pre and post feedback score, so that you see what was the before attending the classroom, what was the score, and after attending the program, what is the score, so that you see the needle movement. This helps the L&D professions to know whether this program is impactful, whether my participants are able to retain the knowledge, skill, and the behaviors that have been inculcated in the program. The third one is all about your L3, which is your behavior, right? So the behavior, how it is measured, the behavior through various intervention. It could be the survey rollout of a 180-degree or a 360-degree survey with your managers, peers, from the participants, and also application of learning. When you apply the learning, how many times that you have connected regular check-ins with your mentors, coach, and also how are you applying the learning and demonstrating the learning on the real time, which is might be on the assignment or on the projects, so that it gives a data points for us that how people have really been demonstrating the change in the behavior. Have they really moved the needle in terms of performance, right? That is something that helps us to measure. Now coming to the fourth one, which is the impact of, sorry, I think there was some technical issue. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I was talking about the L4, which is an ultimate proof of effectiveness, that everybody is today struggling with a lot of complexity that we have created within our mindset. But this data that we measure, so like tangible and intangible. So when we say tangible, it is all about after this program, whether this program has really moved the business is the question from the business, right? So whether the safety incidents have reduced, or the people are performing at a higher rate, have you reduced the errors or the rework that we are doing? And when it comes to intangible, it is all about, are the people ready to take the new roles? Are they ready to expand the roles? What is the motivation level of an individual, and how much is the retention level percentage that we have because of this program? So in a nutshell, what I want to tell is that every data that we are measuring at every level is important and critical, because the context decides the relevance. And when an L&D professionals can connect the learning analytics to behavioral change and the business outcome, then L&D is not seen like a cost center. L&D is seen as a strategic growth driver. So that's my submission for this. Thank you. Then let me take with next step, next question, Jiju, for you on the second question. How do you use learning data to influence leadership decisions and future L&D strategy?
Wonderful. After all those thoughts, Raghu, you have given, do you really want me to answer some questions? Right. So before I answer this, let me just share a story with you, and I'm sure people would like it and appreciate that also. So I'm sure everyone knows about Serena Williams.
Yeah.
Okay. So Serena Williams, awesome tennis player. At one moment of time, she was unable to convert her individual proness and become a champion. When I say become a champion, unable to get some grand slams. So that is when she approached a coach called Patrick Muratolo, and this is a story which is there. You can read also. So Patrick was studying Serena up close and trying to understand where is she not able to convert those shots and become a champion. So let's understand this. Individual player to a champion, it takes a lot of guts or probably a lot of hard work also. So as the training progressed, as the coaching progressed, as the mentoring progressed, he understood one thing. The more closer Serena is coming to the nets, okay, the more closer Serena is coming to the net, her bottom side of the racket hits the ball and it hits the net. So just visualize this. Your tennis racket, lower side ball hitting and going to the net. She's not able to convert those shots to the opponent's side, correct? So this is where training comes into picture in taking decision making. From the story, I would like to tell you something, and this is how probably Kavita also put up. There are three things which Kavita shared: learning, analysis, and decision making. Learning, analysis, and decision making. How do you convert your data to take decisions? Why are we actually doing a training? Is it required? So when an organization is moving to the next level, they need people to take decisions. You won't be finding the CEOs and the CFOs sitting over there. They also need a break. They also need to go to vacation, right? So they would be probably wanting some people who can take decisions. So what do they do? So this is something which probably I can share my thoughts with you, and I'm open for discussion also. Do a strategic workshop towards the start of your year. Understand where does your business want to grow in the next 3 years, 2 years and all, and then understand what are the skills required so that you become individual decision makers. Again, I'm again re-emphasizing individual decision makers. So for those decisions, let us say, for example, I am into a real estate business. So what is my objective is to derive revenues and profits, as simple as that. So for those, 80% of my skill set should be towards sales side of things. So those people who are good in negotiation, good in presentation skills, good in communication skills, who can talk to the customers, they need to be focused on, because I need my revenues and the numbers coming in. Then comes who the next. So what I'm trying to share over here is understand your business first. What kind of skill set you need to know. If you want to have champions, you won't be able to train entire X number of employees in that particular year. But yes, cut them into certain phases or cohorts, train each and every individual in a span of, let us say, 2 to 3 years, and make sure that they attend at least one some executive programs or certain programs wherein their leadership skills is tested. Let me be very, very categorical over here. You are not hired. You are not hired for an organization to do your daily mundane job. You are hired here to take decisions. So as you progress with your trainings, let us say you have physical trainings, you would have probably online and virtual trainings. Assess those data wherein your, as Raghu correctly put in, your L3 or L2 comes into picture, right? So he made my life much easier rather than me sharing all those things, your pre-post test. And I want to share a story over here is that when we had or a kind of a session on Excel, we brought in a trainer, and trust me, this is something which I want to share with everyone. The pre-test scores were higher than post-test scores. So where was that gap? What did they did not understand? So that was something the L&D had to probably dig in, that probably the style of the communicator was not appropriate, that they got little confused. So these are all analogies. These are all things which you learn as you progress in life. Next, who are the people? Just try to understand who are the people who will take the organization to the next level. If you are thinking of those people, understand the skill set first, what you need from them. Let the ROI take a back seat for the next 2, 3 years. Focus on them. They are going to become the decision makers, because you need leaders who will take the organization to the next level. You may be having n number of people in your organization, but certain people who will take decisions, as Kavita already put in during her introduction on that particular note. Analysis will definitely come into picture, but at the end of the day, learning will move towards decision making. So that's what happened when Patrick worked along with Serena Williams. So he went and told Serena, Serena, you're coming very close to the net. Just go back and hit your shot. You'll become a champion. After that, she won probably 8 Grand Slams. So that's how I want to put up and probably share this answer, that your analysis, your thinking will make you a better decision maker. I hope I am able to make some inroads into that particular statement. Thank you for that question,
Some
Raghu.
a lot of you, Jeju. I mean, though my screen was free for some time, I was still hearing you, and I don't know why. The universe is challenging me today. There's been a lot of network issues. I'm sorry, right? But still, I mean, I want to little ask you on this, Jeju. You rightly said it is how do you really want to take it ahead matters a lot, right? But and as my earlier speaker was saying, Raghu was saying about that how do you really make those demonstration effective by by all those different analytical data points, like as he rightly gave an example. When you're speaking about your health, what is important? Is the weight loss? Is it your BP in control? It is your any other factor, and accordingly you start working. And you said but then my little question what I have is at times it becomes difficult for a leadership to make them understand, because though you make that effort as an L&D expert to tell that this is exactly what is required, like you gave the example of Miss Williams, what she need to do, how did she be better herself, but changing those little styles and techniques, this is what we as L&D we always do, we always. But if you speak about the bigger management, the senior management, the CA, all the C suits and D suits, you know what they look forward is the only and only final output, you know so at times influencing them becomes little very tedious. One mantra that you would like to just give to sum up this thought.
Stay humble. That's what I probably preach, and I probably this is sort of what I do, because when you're working with a multi-generational employee skill set, you need to learn from all. Probably do a reverse mentoring, stay agile just to learn. And I just want to share a anecdote with you is that I was just going through these short forms, and I'm sure Arpan will love all those things. I was not sure on certain things like I am LOL, ROFL, not till the time my son told me, boss, this is something you need to learn. And probably that is where I understood, until unless you stay humble and learn from all these generation, whatever you call it, Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, you will not become a leader. A person who is ready to study and learn, trust me, put your entire investment on that person, he becomes a C-suit for you. So Kavita, that's my one-liner, stay humble and keep
So
learning.
that's really wonderful and a very wise advice, a mantra to be shared with everyone, especially with the new L&D heads. And as I'm speaking about the new L&D heads, we have this youngster with us. Arpan, I hope Arpan, you don't mind. I'm calling you a little youngster than we all, white gray hairs.
Suddenly, I'm feeling a little sad when you called Arpan a youngster.
No,
I was
we are
taking that
kids.
as a compliment.
What I was going to say, otherwise, we are kids, he's youngster. So
Best
taking
better.
that so taking that ahead, Arpan, there's a question to you. What challenges do you think organizations typically face in collecting and interpreting learning and development data? Because for us, it is a lot of behavior, a lot of soft skills, a lot of non-technical aspects, and also the technical things. So when you're presenting this collection of thoughts to your to your seniors, what challenges organization typically face?
Uh, Great question, Kavita. Before I get to it, I would like to add a point to Jiju sir's thing. Like as Baba Ranchor Das mentioned in the movie Three Idiots, that knowledge is everywhere. So yeah, staying humble and keep learning. Yep, getting to the question, challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges what I have noticed throughout my experience into L&D is the attribution problem. Let's say you train a sales team, and next quarter the revenue goes up by 20%. Now the question is, did the training cause that? Or is it a new marketing campaign, or are we running any ads or campaigns? Or one of our competitors, did they go out of business? Now the challenge is here, isolating the training variable. I think that's one of the biggest challenge what I have faced, or what I have noticed in the L&D function. I feel like most of the factors is the L&D data, which sits in one silo, and the business data sits in another silo, right? For an example, like L&D data, we have it in LMSs. We have different learning management systems, and the performance data, it sits on, for an example, Salesforce. Now we don't have a collaborative platform where we can just tally the numbers, or we can run analysis together on that. We have two different sets. Now that's, again, I feel like that's scattered, and again, that brings up low quality data when we start sharing numbers with the business leaders as well. I think integrate something which is integrated. I think that would be really great. I think there are a couple of tools which are coming up as of now with AI integration, but most of the L&D function companies, or L&D function in different organizations, they have not adopted it yet. Another, as I said, it's the attribution problem, the cause and correlation. Sometimes it's hard to separate people who learn more, are highly already high performers, or from learning actually change performance. Like some, we have always, like we have four quadrants of employees in any company. Like we have the top tiers who are always high performers. They have high skill and high will. And then again comes the lower, the bottom quartile, where we have low skills and low will. And that sometimes it gets hard to separate those. Like, did it really make a change? The learning program. I think the cause and the correlation effect here. Capability and capacity gaps as well. That's one of the challenges, I would say. Most of, not most, I would say, many L&D teams are still building analytic skills. We are still trying to quantify things. For an example, uh, the small time businesses where L&D is not developed yet. It's just the training like they see it as a training program. People like who are just trainers there. I think that's where these analytical skills have not been developed yet. We don't have data governance there. We don't go deeper into the reporting. So we just present a basic report to the business leaders. I think that's again one of the challenges. If we invest more in reporting, if we like upskill our L&D function people more on reporting, or how to present a report, how to create numbers, how to correlate those numbers with the business impacting numbers. So I think these challenges somewhere we will be able to like bridge the gap. I've also seen like a couple of best organizations as of now, they are breaking these walls. And as you mentioned, that there is a behavior aspect as well. Currently, a couple of top tier organizations, they're looking at the behavior aspect. They're focusing more on the question, did they really learn it? Instead of just looking at how many people attended it, what's the attendance, or how many people completed it, did they really learn it? Or are they able to apply what they have learned? The knowledge retention part. For an example, when I was in Amazon, what they used to say there, did we build enough talent internally so we don't have to pay recruiters to find it outside? I think this is one aspect of one question they used to keep asking the L&D function, that internally, have we developed our talent internally that we don't have to pay expensive prices from hiring from outside. I think these are the challenges what I have noticed, or what I have seen so far in my experience. Yep, that's it.
Wonderful. That's really nice what you said, Arpan, that are we able to really create that kind of difference to the organization in terms of the impact through our trainings, whether, I mean, you gave very beautiful examples of the sales, and we did a lot of strategies, a lot of trainings, but what is if the competitor got a business rather than us? Then what kind of a change are we expecting? And with this, I'm going to throw a little difficult question now to Akanksha, because Arpan has really given a lot of insights of typical challenges that we are facing. I would like to know, Akanksha, from you, how do L&D teams can ensure this all learning analytics can translate into business, very meaningful, meaningful business insights. because we are speaking about behavioral changes. At the same time, we're speaking about the technology changes. We're speaking about process changes, policy. And I'm sure a company like JSW, because I'm also an ex JSW, and I understand the plant works at a different angle. We at Chet Services to work at a different angle, and we being service provider to all stakeholders, there was a lot of pressure, so a lot of challenges. So in this kind of a situation, an L&D like you, how would you ensure really this learning analytics are transferred, or translated into meaningful business insights?
Sure, Dr. Kavita, would be loving to answer that question, because with the decades of experience, almost completing a year now with JSW and almost half a decade of experience with Aditya Birla Group, building, designing interventions, rolling it out. So what we see that one biggest shift which is happening in L&D today is moving from data reporting to business intelligence. So it is about that. The question isn't about gathering more data. It is about turning this learning analytics into insights that leaders can actually use for their decision making. So from my experience, I'll say that meaningful business insights happen when L&D teams follow 4 critical disciplines. One is anchoring. The other is correlating, which Arpan also touched upon. Third is involving. And last but not the least will be storytelling, I feel. So let me break this down with the examples. Anchoring the learning analytics into a clear business problem. I think when we tie analytics becomes very powerful only when it is tied to a business priority and not to a training calendar. So most organizations make the mistake of collecting data after training. But real impact starts before the intervention, well before, by asking a very simple question, that which business problem are we solving? So it all starts from that one question. I'll give you a small example wherein it's been a year and a half now, wherein we have designed a very, a flagship program here for our promoted leaders. So it's a leadership acceleration program, and we went beyond evaluating participation and feedback scores. Instead, we integrated 3 analytic layers here. So one is the creation of individual development plans for these identified leaders with skill benchmarking and manager validation, how much the learning is getting converted. And third is the project-based application data. So with every individual participating in the program, we have actually asked them to pick up an action learning project, wherein on the focus areas, we see that what is that extended, attempt has to be made to convert that learning into a real behavior. So what this allowed us to do was connect leadership capability building with actual role performances. And without anchoring, I believe that analytics float without direction. So it has to have an anchoring. Second, I'll be moving from reporting to correlating patterns. So L&D traditionally reports inputs like completion, participation, feedback scores. These were useful, but they didn't drive the decisions. What leaders want to see as correlation is, are teams with higher capability scores performing better? Are managers whose team members applied learning seeing fewer quality issues? Are leaders who completing the coaching sessions, who have been assigned coaches, are showing up higher team engagement? I think these are the correlations which leaders are looking out for. And again, I'll pick up the example from a critical, from the critical successor development program, which we are running, wherein we have partnered with a coaching federation of India, and our critical successors are undergoing the identified coaching interventions. So we correlated the data with 3 data sets. One is the 360-degree scores, pre and post, manager feedback, and team engagement trends. So we noticed that leaders who scored higher on coaching conversations saw a noticeable rise in their team psychological safety and faster project executions. So this I will say that this was not a coincidence, but it was a correlation. And suddenly leadership development wasn't a soft investment. So when this was presented to our plant president, it became a business lever. And this called for further sustenance coming from a plant president, that coaching sessions we need to enhance the sustenance by building the 30, 60, 90 days follow up with the coaches once the planned sessions are completed. So the organization is now investing further to keep this change which has happened, to sustain it further to the next level. So that is the correlations which we are creating. I'll come third, wherein we involve managers and business head as co-owners of the data. So like I said in my first response while clarifying the misconceptions, the ROI is co-owned by all the stakeholders. So involving managers and business heads as co-owners of data, I think this is one of the most underutilized lever. And if business leaders don't contribute to the data story, the analytics remains academic. It will only be for the academic purpose. So I'll quote an example wherein we have structured a mentoring journey for our newly hired GETs, and in their capability building program, we included a powerful tool wherein we do the manager validation check-ins every 30 days. So manager rated that whether behaviors are improving, how often the tools were applied which they are learning, what are the changes they notice in the shift execution. So all of these checks has been validated by the managers, and these insights created a bridge between capability and on ground performance. So by involving managers, I feel the analytics become more operationally meaningful for them, and not just training centric. It is not only single handedly owned by us. Last but not the least, converting these analytics into a business language. That will be important, and which can happen not only through LMS charts, but something more than the dashboards. So the biggest reason learning analytics is failing is because they are presented as dashboards, educational dashboards. So businesses are not responding to this. They would not like to know that there has been 86% completion. The scores have been 46%, 4.6 out of 5. 120 people participated. I think these are the numbers which they are not looking for. However, they are looking, these are more of an operational L&D matrices, but not the business insights. So while talking about the business insights, if these languages can be, with respect to business matrices, like how many repeat deviations have been dropped. So what is the percentage which allowed, the repeat deviations had been dropped by this percentage, and this was due to the capability building program. What is the decision cycle time which is reducing? Suppose it was 10 days before, it has reduced to 6 days. How teams are exhibiting strong coaching behaviors, and which is leading to the higher engagement scores in their teams. So I think these are few of the languages which they would like to hear. So when analytics speaks the language of business, suddenly L&D is not a support function. As a strategic lever which Raghu sir spoke about, it becomes a performance partner, I feel.
Wonderful.
So
yes. Yeah, Kanksha, sorry, just in the interest of time, I would like to cut you short, but it's really nice that there's this 4 pillars, of anchoring, correlating, engaging, and storytelling. It really counts a lot. We'll quickly move to our third segment so that we can cover most of the things that we have planned today. And going to Arpan directly. Arpan, now I would like to know the third segment, which is connecting learning outcomes to business impact. And though we have touched upon many points, I would like to know from you, how do you ensure learning programs are aligned directly with the business goals and the KPI? If you can quickly say 1 or 2 points, then we can quickly go to the next one too. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Kavita. So, yeah, currently what I notice when it comes to how L&D is functioning, imagine a fast food drive. L&D acts as a fast food drive manager, and somebody just walks up, a manager drives up and says, I need a course on communication. And we say, do you want fries with that? And we build it instead of asking any question, instead of just asking any, like for an example, what is the need and why are we focusing on that? I think that's a mistake. And in my opinion, or in my perspective, to align with business goals, I think we need to be performance consultants more than just like L&D function. and do and reverse engineer things. I call it a backward design. We need to ask questions like what business KPI is suffering, and is it customer churn, or what's the error rate, and how much improvement are we looking at? I think those questions will help us to understand what's the business goal, and based on that we can maybe design a learning program, right? And yep, we need to foster the consultancy mindset, and L&D leaders must stop being order takers. And as Josh Bersin mentioned, the famous industry analyst into L&D, L&D's job is not to create learning; it is to create business capability. I'll conclude with that.
Yeah. Arpan, for giving it, making it very crisp and very insightful. Say that we need to be analysts. We need to be consultants, and not only person delivering the programs and just doing the show. Okay, coming from that insight, I would like to ask Akanksha again. Akanksha, can you share an example where a learning initiative created is measurable and helping business impact?
Yeah,
Just
Dr.
one
Kavita,
example.
yes, I will keep it very short. This is again related to one of the key leadership intervention which we have, which is known as Technical Leaders Program, building the technical leaders. And as I said before, that linking the learning, how it is converting through action learning projects, and a very smart action learning. While these technical leaders went through understanding the digital landscape in the manufacturing setup, a very high impact project was presented here, wherein how smart ferroalloy model was developed by a group of technical leaders, and it is actually based on the model is trained to study the historical melt data, consider chemistry requirements, process parameters, and alloy behaviors, and it is able to generate optimal alloy addition recommendation to achieve desired composition at minimal cost. So this is one of the key example out of the many high impact ALP projects which was presented, and we saw that how the learning got transferred into the real business impact. Over to you, Kavita ma'am.
That's really wonderful to know from you, Akanksha, and it was really short and sweet. With this, I'd like to go to Jizo to understand, what methods do you see or use to isolate L&D contribution from business variables? So
Thank
any
you.
one or
Thank
two
you,
quick
Doctor.
methods you can
Yeah.
share?
Dr. Kavita, thank you for that question. I'm very sure all of you in the screen would agree to me that in the coming year, maybe in a decade or so, you will have one L&D guy sitting in the boardroom making decisions, right? You
Correct.
agree with me? There'll be one L&D guy who will be sitting in the boardroom and taking decisions. Now, let me ask you one simple question before I answer your question. What is the difference between a normal person and a Virat Kohli, or let us say Indra Nui, Leena Nair, or anyone who's CEO? What is the difference? There are two things which separates them: discipline and continuous learning. As simple as that. Discipline and continuous learning. So to answer your question, L&D's contribution, there are two ways how you can push your people to learn. One is the pull effect and the push effect. You can either push them to learn, sit in the classroom, they come, take notes, go back, attendance done, lunch done, and that's it. Pull effect, wherein they themselves are coming up to learn because they want to grow. They want to grow. Simple thing, put it across. How do you measure your sales? Before training, after training, how the efficiency improved. As Raghu rightly put it across, pre-test, post-test, there are many ways to understand how the L&D is contributing to the business impact. Decision making, efficiency, the reduction in your mistakes, how you can probably improve your processes. These are all small contributions by L&D making a business impact. To summarize my thoughts and to keep it short, let's be a continuous learners rather than saying that up bus. Let's try and continue learning ourselves. That's it.
That's really wonderful to say that, let it be continuous process. Very short and sweet and very direct to the point, Jeju. Thank you so much. And I'm coming to Raghu now. Raghu, how would you track a long-term behavior change and its connection in the overall organizational performance?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I can make it a little shorter for this. But what I want to give one insight information is that, see, again, the long-term performance, right? And the culture has to be built right, which means you need to, like Jiju, you rightly said, It is about the consistency and the discipline. Because let me tell you one that if you go out and hit a gym for one session, your fitness will not improve, right? You'll have to go regularly, you'll have to practice, and you'll have to measure it regularly. And it's all about the consistency and the discipline that you bring. So now coming to the programs, because what people think usually training is an event or an learning initiative. We need to change that shift. How do we change that shift is something you need to start from the end. Like Akanksha also called out that we need to start from the end. There are three hats as an L&D professionals that we need to wear. One is the consultant hat. The another one is being a partner. Third one is support, because you need to be part of the support also, right? So when you wear these three hats and when you connect with the business in the beginning, to understand your learning outcomes are connected with business KPIs, because the business can understand the language of business when you show the impact in the business outcomes, right? So understand and clearly call out what is the outcome and how it is impacting to the business. Then wear the hat of a partner, where you need to partner with multiple teams. Like I said, manager, your HR business partners, your leaders. And one thing that I want to give as a takeaway for everybody is don't do 1 day, 2 day classroom and leave it, because the learning will not continue. Make it a journey. That is what we do in Hindustan Coca-Cola beverages. The 70, 20 and 10 principle. 10% is all about your formal learning, classroom, virtual, whatever. The 20% is all about your coaching connect, mentoring, networking, because that consistency has to happen. You need to apply the learning. And the 70% is all about how you showcase your presentations or your final presentation by applying the learning, how the business has really moved, how have you impacted the shift. So when you make this as a journey, because that's the role of an L&D consultant or a partner or an advisor, that today we are to create that environment which is customized and personalized to the target audience. And this is practical to apply, because it has to be practical. The moment you involve the managers, the moment you involve the coach and mentors and make it as a journey, then it is practical to apply and then showcase the success, because you have already aligned the business that what is the outcome and how it is talking in the language of business on business KPIs. So this is something that we need to do. When we do this, when learning outcomes are linked with behavioral shift and the business KPI, then learning becomes a performance engine. So that learning is not seen as an event or an initiative, it is seen as a performance engine. To add on, Jiju, I agree to you. Now it is not in the future, it's today. We need to sit with the leaders, we need to be in the boardroom to take decisions, to add value in terms of how L&D interventions and the journeys that we create will impact the business and to show how business moves.
That's wonderful, Raghu, to have that insight. And from what you said, I would like to develop the small acronym like BBE, like behavior, business, encouragement, engagement, evolvement, everything that can come, energizing.
Exactly.
Right? It has to get energized, it has to get linked, and it is so much of insight that we have really received from the expert panel today. I'm sure the audience who is, hearing there has been very genuinely participating for last 1.5 hours. It does not seem like it's like 1.5 hours that we have spent together. And yeah, we're always greedy to have more. Unfortunately, with the interest of time and as committed people, we have to close now. But there's a lot of insight, that we need to wear a first thing. We are just not developers of content and delivers. We are just not actors performing on the stage, but we are we are also the actor, director, producer, artist, everyone together in this stage of performance, right? Hence, that will change the inside of a learning and development as a support system, and we can become strategist, analyst, a catalyst, everything that can turn the wheels. Because if your wheels have to run, you need to have a strong lubricant that can keep your wheels running. And we are that energizers, we are that lubricant that is going to make the industry, the culture stronger by this inputs. It's a wonderful insight. I will, now like to hand it over back to Mansi and the Eduland team, finally to make a call. And it's a wonderful insight. I'm sure the different insights that we have got even from Akanksha, that the 4 pillars, I really loved it. Anchoring, correlating, engaging, and storytelling.
So thank you so much, Kavita. Here I ask audience if you have any questions for our panelists. So definitely you can write in the chat box and one of our panelists definitely answer that. Yeah.
Do we have any questions anybody's asking, or it's on the chat? I would still like to check if there's anything more in the chat for us.
Okay.
There's Double Yava was saying that it was very engaging, informative session. We
Fine,
will see that.
Yeah. So fine. I think we have no questions yet. So let's conclude this session. So thank you to all our speaker, Mr. Jiju Mathur,
Thank
Arpan,
you.
Arpan Paul, Akansha Chaudhary, Raghunandan KP, Dr. Kavita, for sharing your valuable insights and expertise today. Your contribution has been immensely impactful and relevant to our current. Yeah. So upcoming scenarios and LED when it comes to meeting the needs of our generation leaders, I would also like to extend my gratitude to our audience for joining us and participating in the important discussion and engaging. So have added so much to the event, making it a truly interactive and collaborative experience. As we concluding, I hope everyone takes away new ideas and strategies and go back highly positively about making learning even better. Thank you once again to our speaker and our moderator and all of you who attended today. Stay connecting, stay innovative,
Yeah.
have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you in our next event. Till then, keep
Yeah.
innovating, keep learning. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, Mansi, before you conclude,
Thank
a
you,
big
everyone.
round of thank you to Dr. Kavita, Akansha, Arpan, and Raghu. It was wonderful listening to all of you. I must say, I've taken a lot of notes, and probably I'll reach out to you just to know a little more better in terms of how the industry is growing. And to all the audience, feel free to connect with us. And I'm sure
Yeah.
we would like to hear from them also in case you have something coming up, not now, maybe during the weekend as you binge watch something you would learn, and connect with us over the LinkedIn, and we'll be more than happy
Yeah.
to just to listen to you. So once again, thank you, Mansi and Shiju, for having us for this wonderful weekend session.
One second.
And I would
There's one question that is there in the Q&A. Okay.
Question is, what new KPIs do you foresee in the L&D
Yeah,
function?
I'll just take that. I'll just take that question. See, in the future, what KPIs are important is today we are measuring coverage percentage, learning hours, and how the L3 and L4 level, how impactful the business is making based on the trainings or the programs they undergo. Now, the new KPIs or the current KPIs is all about predictive and prescriptive, because today by leveraging AI, leveraging the data that are there from learning and business, it all integrates and it is giving a prescriptive and predictive analysis where the leaders and the individuals and the managers can act on it. Because now we have to leverage AI, we have to get this, we can't only sit and cover the post facto what has happened and show this is what happened. We have to be a true business accelerator by providing what is the predictive, what is the capability trends looking like, and how much percentage is has to be filled in the future leadership. All this can be done through the KPIs that we need to define, which are predictive and prescriptive in nature.
Yeah. Raghu, just to add to your thoughts, there are two things which I feel would be the
Yeah.
points on which the KPIs in the future would be built upon. The two things, and I would like to share with everyone:
Yeah.
agility and resilience. So wonderful example here is Accenture. So if you look at Accenture, they were able to train the entire employees on Gen AI even before it was launched formally. So those who are ready to accept the changes sooner the better, one, and then how much they can be able to understand the way they'll adapt to the new circumstances. So the KPIs would be built upon agility and resilience. That's my 2 pence for the audience.
Great.
And finally, adding to Jizu sir and Raghunandar sir, what I have seen as as the business case and how the L&D landscape is evolving, I feel how we can create this personalized learning experience for your employees will play a very vital role, because every individual, every particular segment has a very different learning needs. They learn differently. So how adults are learning is more important than how adults are retaining and converting. So it is important to create that personalized learning experience for your people. Will act as an important KPI, I feel. So
Yeah,
from my
sure.
end.
Because I think these days are gone where your learning and development is just based to your classrooms or to your to your softwares, right? It is just not technical, it's not non-technical. It's a combination of both. So if I really have to put it into a very poetic way, I would say that the AI maps the skills we seek. VR can practice bold but not meek. Learning flows in micro streams, shaping futures which is beyond old and dreams. Right. So we have to break those old dreams. We have to shape futures. So there's a lot of responsibility on the L&D shoulders. But when it comes on the L&D shoulders, the hand can only work well when the entire body is stronger. So as we discussed in the conversations, right? All stakeholders have to join hands together, and I think let's make that bold step of engaging them also first, and putting them into practice. That L&D is just not the driver. The driver can work only with a proper engine and the other spare parts, right? So we all connect together. All over to you, panel and the team.
Okay. So it is very insightful, to be very honest. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to our all panel members. Thanks to our moderator for giving your valuable time for this particular session. As I mentioned, we are running with a short time, so I will conclude this session. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
Enjoy the
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Wonderful.
Bye-bye.